I want to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Regional Planning Commission for August 26, 2024. It's good to see each and every one of you here. We ask that each and every one of you stand at this time for our prayer and our Pledge of Allegiance. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for the beautiful morning that you've given us, and may we always remember that the things that we have here and the things that you do give us are those that are things that we need to look after, things that we need to take care of. And those things come to us this morning as a planning commission. May you give us the guidance to look after these things for the citizens of Rutherford County. Father, we are a blessed county. We have so much. And Father, may we be diligent in trying to take care of those things. Father, we ask that you watch over us, protect us, and guide us. We offer this prayer in your Son's holy name. Amen. Madam Secretary, may you call the roll so we have a determination of quorum.
Jim Averwater. Here. Jeff Phillips. Present. Mike Cush. Lee Bogle. Here. Charlotte P. Here. Trey Gooch.
Here.
Chip Pinion. Marvin Whitworth.
Here.
Jim Thompson. Here. Pettis Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. We now will need an approval of our minutes from August 12, 2024, and I'll call on our Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the minutes of the August 12th meeting, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, minutes have been approved. Any public comments?
No, sir.
No public comments. Any items withdrawn or deferred?
Also, no, sir.
All right. I want to tell you before we begin, we have one of our members that are back this morning. We're so glad to see that corner filled over there. Mr. Marvin Whitworth, glad to have you back.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. It's good to be back.
Good to see you. We'll move now into our new business. Section 7, Item A, submitted for final plat approval. Item 1, Pastrana Subdivision, 24-2060, one lot on 2.10 acres, zoned RM, located along Dale Thomas Road. A Pastrana applicant includes a waiver to a fire hydrant requirement. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. As you stated, this property is located along Del Thomas Road. They are proposing to divide about 2 acres from an existing 9-acre tract. They have identified septic soils. Minimum pad and floor elevations have also been set due to local drainage concerns. This property is located within the Nolensville College Grove Utility District service area. Information from their office states that a hydrant cannot be supported at this location. That's why they are asking for the fire hydrant waiver. We do have correspondence from them confirming that is the case. Most of the other comments we have been addressed. If there's anything left over, we'll make sure it gets addressed prior to plat recording, but the plat appears to be in pretty good order with the exception of the waiver request. So with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
Staff recommendation, Doug.
We recommend approval subject to including the waiver.
So move.
Have a motion. Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, it has been approved. Item 2, The Springs, Section 4, 24-2065, 21 lots on 10.95 acres, zoned RM, located along Del Zondo Drive. Salem Creek Partnership is the applicant. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This subdivision is located off of Armstrong Valley Road. Mike's got it on the map before you. This section that we're looking at here is actually the final section of this subdivision. One of the main things about this particular development is that it actually is going to have a connection between the Springs and also the adjacent Forest Ridge subdivision. That was something that was planned from the beginning when we approved the preliminary plan. It gives Forest Ridge another way in and out of the development. Right now, they only have the one, so this was something that we were encouraged to see that they had done. This plat is consistent with the preliminary plan that was approved back in June of 2016. Our comments have been addressed on this. Actually, we didn't have to send any additional comments out for our second review because everything was taken care of on the first review. So with that, we recommend approval and are happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I just have a question. You know, this is approved in 2016. Are there any, off the top of your head, major changes we have made since 2016?
Not that would affect this subdivision, no, ma'am. These are standard RM lots, 15,000 square foot plus. It's on a step system. So, and that's really consistent with some of the other development around it as well. So, I mean, there's nothing that really changed between those. That being said, even if something had changed with the preliminary plan, they'd be vested in what they already had. So we really couldn't make them do anything different.
And like Douglas said, it gives a second exit to Forest Ridge. Right now, there's only one way in, one way out, and this gives it a second connection right here.
Mr. Chair, that being said, I move for approval upon all staff comments.
A motion for approval. Do I have a second? Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? It is approved. Item 3, Eaton Property Minor, Resubdivision, 242066, one lot on 3.81 acres, zoned RM, located along Lascassas Pike. David Branch is the applicant, includes a waiver for the establishment of off-site soils. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, sir, thank you. The Planning Commission granted a waiver for the off-site soil site for these property, well, the main property, the one in the back, at their June 25th, 2024 meeting, so it was just a few months ago. This plat is the result of that. It does show the proposed re-subdivision of the property. Essentially, they're squaring up the lots, but are allowing an area, as you can see on what is Lot 1, to be used by Lot 2 for their soil area. There were several comments that we identified with the plat. Most of those have been addressed. There's a few what I would consider housekeeping items, little tweaks that need to be made prior to this being recorded. However, we'll make sure that gets taken care of prior to us signing it and releasing it for recording. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners? Comments, discussion, or motions?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. And a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Has been approved. Moving to item B, submitted for site plan approval. Item 1, Barfield and Veterans Gas Station, 243003, construction of a 5,100 square foot convenience store on a 4.70 acre property, Zone CS, located along Veterans Parkway and Barfield Crescent Road, Murfreesboro Investment Group, LLC. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The applicant's proposing to build a convenience market and gas station on the subject property. On the site plan, you'll see some future buildings. Looks like 3 additional units. Now, those are not part of today's site plan approval, but that's just giving you an idea of some potential future development of this property. Most of our comments have been addressed. The site plan does show several road improvements to both Barfield Road and Veterans Parkway. There's been a lot of discussion on that with staff and also City of Murfreesboro staff, just because of the fact that Veterans Parkway, due to the Southwest Loop Agreement, is actually maintained by the city. But I'll turn it over to Mike Hughes, our county engineer, to discuss the particulars of the traffic improvements in a little more detail.
Thank you, Doug. So, like Doug said, they have to make several improvements both on Veterans and on Barfield Road. They are doing a dedicated decel right turn lane for the new entrance on Veterans Parkway, And then they are also extending the left turn lane past the entrance on Barfield Road, and then also having a taper back down. They are dedicating right-of-way for a future dedicated right turn lane onto Veterans, but there's a major power pole that'll have to be moved with it once that turn lane is installed. We'll have to have them work with the city about adjusting the timing on the traffic signal at Veterans and Barfield. A lot of people use Barfield as they're coming north to turn left. You take advantage of that traffic signal and use that, so it does queue up a little bit, and this additional left turn storage will help that situation. But again, we have to work with the city about the timing of that signal. We had them adjust some of their stormwater. I get to the grading sheet. Past it. Had to adjust the stormwater detention pond. It's a little bit farther to the east of the site on that future area, but they have addressed all of those. They've looked at truck turning templates for both delivery trucks and fire trucks, trash trucks. So we're in good shape with that. There will be a drive-through that you can see here on the proposed building. I guess, people having to stop and get their fried tater or whatever in the morning. And here are the proposed improvements both on Veterans and on Barfield Road. So all that being said, we're in good shape with this project.
Commissioners? Questions? I drove by that property this morning.
Well, I drive by it often too, Mr. Reed. But anyway, I remember when I was actually here when we approved the gas station. They are taking all of the improvements and widenings and so forth off of their property. They're not planning on taking anything across from the rock fence on the Methodist Church across the road.
No, sir. The church's rock wall, you can see it here. Everything is happening towards their site. So, and we were aware of their entrances, and we have them shown on the plan here in front of you.
Other questions?
Mike, the moving of the utility pole and the traffic lights adjustments are notes that have to be done before they start, right? Are those things that the staff has said needs to be done?
Well, the movement of that large pole won't happen with this initial phase of the project. The city is okay with just dedicating right-of-way for a future addition. One thing else, we are adding a sidewalk down Barfield Road, but they will have to work with the city on any tweaking or anything. Like Doug said, this is part of the Southwest Loop agreement. Even though Veterans is in the county's jurisdiction, it's still the city's road, and they have an agreement with the county to maintain it. So anything that's done, any new driveways, anything that's done with Veterans has to get the city's approval. So we're going to work with the city with all improvements on this, as well as the development team. So yes, the turn lane addition will happen on both these turn lane additions on Barfield, and the new turn lane on Veterans will happen before this gets open, but the power pole movement will happen later.
It might be a silly question, but do all of this plan meet city standards as well? Does it fall within what the city would require?
Well, they're really going to be looking at it from an access standpoint and looking at the improvements on the Veterans Parkway, not necessarily the site itself when it comes to the buildings. This isn't like they're using sanitary sewer. If that were the case, they would have to build up everything consistent with city standards. So we really haven't had any discussions with them regarding that, but the improvements to the roads and things, we will coordinate with them on that.
We've had a lot of discussion or some discussion on this in the past, especially about the traffic and the road improvements and those kind of things. Are staff comfortable with where we are at this?
I believe we are, yes, sir.
Now, without objection, I'll move to approve with staff comments.
Motion to approve. Second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? It is approved. Moving into item 8, staff reports and other business. Mr. Tomasi.
Yes, sir, thank you. Just a couple of things I did want to update you on. First is just a little discussion on the flag lot regulation amendments. I have them here on your iPads just for your reference more than anything. I didn't really want to get into a whole lot of discussion on that today. I've had some discussions, Pettis and I have discussed some things, as well as I've had some discussions with some of the folks from the building development community, and they raised some good points as far as looking at this from a standpoint of not just the flag lots, but as we were looking at it, we were also looking at the private easements. There does seem to be a lot of sense in kind of bringing everything together, because these do play off each other, if you will. So maybe looking at the flag lots in relation to what's allowed in easements and things as well, kind of presenting a unified package, if you will. So I think that's if the commission's okay with that, we'd like to move forward in that regard before bringing these back up to you. We've already got a lot of work done on the easement front, but I think if we are able to take their concerns, because I know they've got some concerns from the development community, some things they would like us to consider. As discussing it with them, we both admitted that, usually what comes out of these kind of regulation changes is not everybody gets exactly what they want, but everybody gets what they're able to live with from a compromise standpoint. So without objection, I think that's the direction we are going to move with this. So I just wanted to kind of get the Planning Commission's thoughts on that before setting any more discussions on the topic.
Commissioners, any comments you would have on that? Or
Doug, I just have a question. Is what we have here different from what we saw at our last meeting?
No, sir, this is the same.
No revision?
Nothing's been changed at this point, no, sir.
in fact, if you'll go back to when we started all the way back in June talking about this, easements was in that.
Right.
So if you'll go back and look at some of the things we had, that the discussion of easements were in there. So we'd begin discussing that all total in all of this, because when you talk about flag lots, a lot of times easement is involved in those sort of things. So that's where we were headed, and then we got involved in the flag lots, and the easement had sort of, so we want to put them all together in one package and tie it in a nice, neat bow, and where it all comes together and everybody's got it together.
I do have a question here, just briefly, if you don't mind, on this A5 right here, because that's been the biggest thing for me when we talk about these flag lots. Now, we have people after a piece of property gets auctioned off, and then they come in, they want us to cut up about 3 more lots or whatever. Have the auctioneers, have we got them on a mailing list somehow that they're playing information, communicating with them?
Yeah, one of the local auctioneers has reached out to me about this, and now we were going to try to get together last week to discuss it in a little more detail. We weren't able to get our schedules to work, but to answer your question, yes, we'll make sure that they're involved as well.
Okay, and then the other thing on flag lots for me, I'm just thinking about, I got fire protection up here. We've talked about, I went back and I did find the requirements on what MTE is looking for, Middle Tennessee Electric, on their roadway. Mm-hmm. And again, it's pretty stout. I hadn't seen a driveway built to their specs anywhere in the county that I'm used to. 6 inches of base and more topping and all that. So as long as we're getting everybody involved that needs to be involved, whether it be auctioneers, fire protection, the utilities, and all of that, I think we'll be fine coming out at the end. But up front, I think folks need to understand what we're talking about on these flag lots. that touches flag lots, so we're not fighting what we're fighting today. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, and there's some confusion on if you, on the same, there shall be no more than one flag lot per flagpole. Can you add without a road? Or, we're not limiting the flag lots. We just require them to have a road. Can that wording be added?
I think so, and that was another reason I think we wanted to kind of pump the brakes a little bit on this, was to clarify a few things, because I think we understand kind of where you want to go, and maybe looking at the language, we need just to kind of take a step back and look at revising how that some works. 'Cause you're right, we're not, we've made that point during the last meeting when we had the public hearing, so we're not trying to say you can't have them. It's just we were trying to limit some of the impacts we were having from them. But to answer your question, yes, we can clarify some of the wording on these. Absolutely.
This is all in our planning. I've said it before, sitting up here, that we need to look at the fact that we are a planning commission and not an approval commission. And that's what we're trying to do right here. We're trying to plan what the future will look like, and it's hard to do in this county right now because it changes overnight. And that's what some of this is trying to do. Some of us visualize and we see and we think we're doing it. And now, as we see some of the comments that's coming back to us, we got to put our visual within the regulations where they sort of see it too.
I'd also like to get the road board involved. My road commissioner, after watching our meeting, contacted me and said, yes, he has received complaints about flag lots and easements and roads that they have had a problem. So they may want to be part of the conversation as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we've they've reached out to me too, wanting to be here too, to voice their opinions of the problems they're having with flag lots and things of this type. So there's a lot of different groups that have, you got pros and cons in all directions. So we're going to give everybody their opportunity. And I've said this before too, we're going to give everybody their say, but not necessarily everybody their way, because we're going to have to make it a benefit for all involved. And that's what we'll attempt to do. So we'll plan.
I think what we'll do is we'll give you an update at the next day meeting. That'd probably be the thing. That'll give us a good month to really work on this and to kind of see what direction things are going. And then from there, if we have consensus, I think we go ahead and schedule for public hearing.
We'll schedule a public hearing where these individuals will also get their contact where they can be here too.
Right.
This could be as big as the wedding chapel situation. And Doug and myself have also talked about the fact not doing it at a daytime meeting, but do it at a nighttime meeting. Because we've got a lot of people that are busy during the daytime that can't be here with us this time of day at 9 o'clock in the morning, but have it at nighttime when we have a nighttime meeting. And it may mean we have to stay a little bit later to accomplish this, but I think if we're going to accomplish it with the people, with those that it's affecting, this is when we'll probably have to have it. Commissioner?
I'm sorry I wasn't here for the talk on it a couple of weeks ago, but you mentioned we are a planning commission, and that is absolutely correct. We need to plan as to what will happen after we're gone. 50 years from now, what we've planned today on some of these flag lots may not work, and they may have complaints then. I know we might not have complaints now, but we may when this generation dies off if we haven't planned it correctly.
That's totally and absolutely true. That's why right now we're involved with our comprehensive plan. We thought back in 2009 that took care of everything. And it didn't take it 5 years to become out of date. So this is what we're having to do and what we're having to deal with right now. So we'll come up with those dates. We'll come up where we can do this. And I did want to tell you that we're looking at a nighttime meeting to accomplish this, and hopefully this will work for everybody's schedules. Any other comments?
Yes, I want to state that it is not the Planning Commission's or the Planning Office responsibility to contact every realtor, every developer, I mean, it's their responsibility to keep up. You know, we cannot ask Doug or Gail or any of his office to contact all these people. And, you know, it's public record, and they are invited, as they have been invited to all of our open meetings. So this is not a surprise, or should not be a surprise to anybody.
That's true. All right, anything else?
Just one other item I wanted to discuss briefly. We've been talking about a training session. You'll know that when we've been going through some of these items with the easements and different things, we've talked with Consolidated Utility about some other topics of concern and interest, like water supply and those kind of things. Jason Laxton, who's here, if you have questions for him, we've been discussing some things back and forth, and they're, are good with having a session on a lot of these topics. We're probably looking October-ish timeframe for something like that. But as Jason and I were talking, he did say, what other topics might be something that you might want to hear more about. That'll help us all as we plan the session. It doesn't have to be necessarily be limited to anything CUD would discuss, because we can always get our engineers involved with different things and whatnot. But I just kind of want to get some ideas from the Planning Commission, just so we know how to plan for the session moving forward. So anything that might be CUD related you're interested in, and then some other topics that might interest you as well, because this will count toward your 4-hour training, and if we can knock it all out at one time, why not? So, just wanted to throw that out there for discussion.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on that, or you're okay? I think we'll just move that direction.
Okay. Let me just, Jason, not to put you on the spot out there, did you have any comments you wanted to make regarding that? Okay.
Right.
Then we'll kind of get together and shore up some discussion, and then kind of see where we are with other topics that we think might be of interest to you all. And if you think of something, you all know how to get a hold of me. So feel free to call me or email me or what have you.
All right, if there's nothing else to come forward, we're sort of like school. We're letting you out a little early this morning, but I guarantee you we're going to make up for it later on at another meeting. So there's no other business come before this. Remember, our next meeting is September the 9th, and we are adjourned.